Hey everyone, so if you're gearing up for finals right now and feeling that totally familiar crunch time pressure, you are absolutely in the right place. Today, we're going to completely demystify those intimidating, scenario-based exam questions that just always seem to trip people up in project management and entrepreneurship. We're taking all those heavy, text-dense concepts and turning them into incredibly simple, actionable steps that you can take straight into test day.
Think of me as your personal tutor, and here is our syllabus for this explainer. We'll quickly cover SWOT analysis fundamentals, defining risk, a real-world scenario with a fitness app, calculating expected monetary value, and then our final takeaways.
Okay, let's dive right into Section 1, SWOT Analysis Fundamentals.
At its core, a SWOT analysis is basically your ultimate strategic planning tool. It's designed to help you identify and evaluate the strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats of any given project. But more importantly, it gives you a crystal clear framework for assessing the exact factors that will decide if your project is going to be a massive success or a total failure.
Now listen up, because I want you to pay close attention here. There is a classic exam trap that you need to avoid. You absolutely must firmly separate your factors into two distinct buckets, internal and external. Look, strengths and weaknesses are internal. That means you, as the project manager, actually have some degree of control over them. Opportunities and threats, on the flip side, are external market forces. You literally can't control them. You can only react to them. Mixing these two buckets up is the #1 way students lose easy points on multiple choice questions.
To build a really complete picture, just remember that a strength is an internal advantage. Think along the lines of having a highly skilled development team. A weakness, well, that's an internal hindrance, like being stuck with a limited budget. Now for the external stuff. An opportunity is something outside your company that you can capitalize on, like a growing market trend. And a threat is an external hindrance, like, say, an economic downturn or new competitors entering the space. If you just memorize this setup, you'll instantly know how to categorize data in any scenario they throw at you.
All right, moving right along to Section 2, defining and quantifying risk.
So what actually is a risk? Well, the formal definition is any uncertain event or condition that, if it occurs, can affect the project's objectives. We're talking about things that impact your timeline, your cost, your scope, or the quality of your deliverables. Now, a lot of students just assume that the word risk inherently means something terrible is going to happen. But in project management, risk simply equals uncertainty.
This right here is a massive paradigm shift that you need for the exam. A risk can actually be a positive opportunity. For example, if a supplier is delayed by 2 weeks and it costs you $5,000, yeah, that's clearly a negative threat. But what if there's an unexpected surge in market demand that ends up boosting your revenue by $10,000? That is still an uncertain event. It's a risk, but it's a positive opportunity risk that you absolutely want to plan for and exploit.
Which brings us to Section 3, Scenario, the fitness app. Okay, it is time to tackle the scary part. It is totally normal to feel a spike of anxiety when you flip the page on your final and just see a giant wall of text. The real question is, how do we extract actionable data from a massive block of scenario text without getting completely lost in the weeds? Well, I like to use what I call the highlighter technique.
Imagine the giant block of text you might face on test day. It describes a company launching a new mobile fitness app. They've got budgets, timelines, team backgrounds, market conditions, influencers. Honestly, it goes on and on. Take a breath. Do not panic. You do not need to memorize the story. You just need to act like a data miner. You're simply scanning that text, specifically looking for those SWOT and risk categories we talked about.
Boom. Here is the highlighter technique in action. We've stripped away all the fluff and pulled out only the variables that actually matter. We found a hard constraint of a $200,000 budget and a 6-month timeline. We extracted a clear internal strength, an experienced development team. We found an internal weakness, a limited marketing budget. And we identified an external threat, an evolving market with competitors. Doing this is a total game changer. It's going to save you an incredible amount of time and mental energy.
Awesome. Let's jump right into Section 4, calculating expected monetary value.
Now we're shifting gears to the math portion of our explainer. This is where you score the really big points by proving you can back up your analysis with hard numbers. Our core formula for quantifying risk is expected monetary value, or EMV. The formula is simply the sum of probability multiplied by impact. If you're a visual learner, lock this equation into your brain right now. EMV equals the sum of P times I.
Let's break down the actual mechanics of this formula step by step so the math feels super simple. Step 1. You identify the risk probability. That's just the percentage chance that an event will happen. Step 2. You identify the risk impact, which is the financial cost or gain if it does happen. And step 3, you simply multiply the probability by the impact to get your risk score. You do this for every single risk and then just add them all up. It is literally just basic multiplication and addition. You've got this.
So, looking back at our scenario, the exam has kindly quantified our extracted risks for us. We have risk A, the marketing budget limitation, which has a 70% probability, or 0.7, and a negative impact of $50,000. We have risk B, the competition, sitting at a 50% probability with a negative $100,000 impact. Then there's technical bugs at a 40% probability. And finally, risk D, which is our positive opportunity, a 60% chance of increased market demand yielding a positive $75,000.
Just to make sure we absolutely have this down, let's walk through a parallel example calculation. Let's take a competitor's new product launch. The probability is 0.5. The impact is negative $15,000. We multiply 0.5 by negative $15,000, and we get a negative risk score of $7,500. Conversely, consider a positive opportunity, like a sudden surge in market demand. A 0.4 probability multiplied by a positive $12,000 impact gives us a positive risk score of $4,800. To find the expected monetary value of the whole project, we just sum up those individual risk scores. So, for this example, our crucial final calculation comes out to negative $5,700. By simply adding up negative $3,000, negative $7,500, and positive $4,800, we arrive at our total EMV. But what does this number actually mean for you as a project manager? Well, it represents your projected financial exposure due to these specific risks. It tells you that, statistically speaking, you need to account for an expected loss of $5,700 when you're planning your project contingencies. That right there is the true analytical power of EMV.
Excellent work sticking with me through the math. Let's wrap things up with Section 5, Final Exam Takeaways.
Here is your ultimate mental cheat sheet to lock in right before the test. First, aggressively categorize your SWOT factors into internal controls versus external forces. Second, always remember that risks can be positive opportunities, not just negative threats. Third, use that highlighter technique to ruthlessly extract only the key numbers from massive scenario prompts. And finally, master the EMV formula. It's just the sum of probability times impact.
Passing your final exam is going to feel great, for sure. But I want to leave you with one final thought. The true goal here isn't just getting a good grade, it's about actually applying this to real-world entrepreneurship. When you step out of the classroom to launch your own product or manage a massive budget, you are going to face uncertainty. The frameworks you learned in this explainer ensure that your decisions won't be made by blind chance, but by sharp, calculated analysis. Good luck on your exams and keep analyzing.